Quincy Avery is the president at Quarterback Takeover. It is an elite camp in an emerging industry on elevating quarterbacks. He is Deshaun Watson's personal coach, Jalen Hurts' personal coach. His dad was a coach in Tampa under Tony Dungy, and Quincy Avery said, I don't want to do the coaching, but I like mentoring and teaching. He also has Trey Lance, the hot prospect from North Dakota State. I didn't know Quincy Avery until 5 minutes ago, but I already love his personality, and he joins me now live. All right, so I'm gonna list some quarterbacks, Quincy, and you just tell me what you think. First of all, let's do the Philadelphia thing. Wentz is out. Jalen Hurts is the guy. His completion percentage numbers weren't great. He's a little smaller than I'd like, but he's mobile and he's active, and I love his story. Is he going to succeed in Philadelphia? What does he need to work?
I think Jalen needs to continue to improve on the little things in terms of just quarterback development, being more consistent from the pocket. But all the things that you mentioned that he's great at, that's going to allow him to be really successful and go through these like growing pains that you go through as a young quarterback in the National Football League.
Trent Dilfer helped discover you, and he's a friend of ours both. And I know he gave you a ton of trust and helped you start this thing off. We have new quarterbacks in the NFL today, all different shapes, sizes, and styles. I want to talk about a couple of young ones. Trey Lance, all I've seen is YouTube video on him. Hasn't played this year but a game. Doesn't play the greatest competition. What do you see? You're coaching him. What is he? What's his ceiling?
Trey Lance can be an all-pro quarterback for a number of years. He's so physically gifted. Like that throw right there to sail to the right, he drives it, like he manipulates the pocket. He's an elite runner. And people talk about the level of competition he played against. Well, let's also talk about the guys that he has on his team. Those guys aren't making great catches like outside of their radius, doing all the things that happen when you're at a school like Alabama and your guys are getting wide open. He doesn't have that advantage. He had to do everything the right way. And then mentally, he's so far ahead of any quarterback that I've dealt with at this stage of their career. He's asked to do so much. Rarely does their offensive staff call a complete play. They'll call half of the concept and ask Trey to do so much more. I think that when he goes into an NFL program, he's going to be somebody who can step up immediately and be the guy in the locker room. And then when all the other things that make quarterbacks great, in terms of the leadership, those dynamic capabilities, he's going to be amazing at.
I'll tell you what, just on the video I'm watching here, he is athletically, he just doesn't look like other quarterbacks. Now, let's go to Zach Wilson from BYU. I saw him 2 years ago. I flipped on the TV and watched him. Very lively arm, but he's very thin. Is he ready to play day one in the league?
I think that it's going to take a bit of time before he's ready to play in the National Football League. He's twitchy. Like you said, he's electric, strong arm. He does all those things well. But also in the games this year that he had the toughest competition, like Coastal Carolina, he wasn't great. And then if you look back at the tape from the year before, he didn't have like a great showing. He did a lot of things really well when his team was much better than the opponent they were facing. So I'm really interested to see how does it work when the level of talent that he has on the field is equal to the guys that he's going to be going against.
Justin Fields now is getting picked apart. That's what happens when you play your last game at college and you play a great team and lose. I just see an athletic kid with a big arm who made big plays against Clemson. What worries you about Justin Fields, and what do you like about him?
So, like, he has a dynamic arm. He has all the running capabilities of someone like a Cam Newton or Josh Allen, right? He can add to your game, make you have to put an extra defender in the box because he can do all those things. And then his arm is strong enough to defeat you throwing the football. I think that this year when we saw him struggle a little bit, like the Northwestern game, the offense that they were in, they got a little too pass happy. And I think that's because Coach Day had so much trust in Justin and trying to figure it out. They were rushing 3, dropping 8, and it's tough to be successful then. But when you see throws like this with the back shoulder throw, all those different things, he's got a chance to go to an NFL locker room and be a starter really, really quickly.
Trevor Lawrence, we've all known he's good for years. Now it's become fashionable to say, well, these other guys are just as good. When you watch his tape, I still contend he looks like as good a prospect I've seen since Andrew Luck. What's the tape say, Quincy?
So he did a lot of good things. Like when you cut on the tape, all of his traits say he's going to be the number one pick in the draft. Throws like that. He can throw into tight windows. He does a great job in terms of anticipating stuff, and that's what has allowed him to be so successful. He's an excellent runner, even for somebody who's 6'6", and he's a great person, and that's what's going to take him a long ways. But I think it's really hard when you go somewhere as that number one pick. It's going to be really difficult for him to be successful. So how is he going to respond when he gets to Jacksonville and they're getting beat up, and he's lost more games in year one than he's lost through his whole high school, whole college career combined? Like, I want to see how Trevor Lawrence is going to deal with adversity, but his talent, the skills that he has, that should take him a long way.
So it's interesting about young quarterbacks. Quincy Avery joining us, president at Quarterback Takeover, an elite quarterback training program. He's also Deshaun Watson's coach, and I'll get to Deshaun in a second. But quarterbacks now, because of camps like yours, are getting more snaps by 12, 13, and 14 years old than any of the previous generations have received. Here's what I worry about with all these quarterback camps is that not that they're pampered, but the quarterbacks now are sort of grooved into college and grooved into the NFL. And I kind of like my quarterback to stumble. Aaron Rodgers went to junior college, and Brady had to sit in the bench in college, and Carson Wentz had to go to some college you never heard of. Do you worry at all that all these quarterback camps like your own that are elite, how do you avoid pampering a kid and setting him up for the harsh reality he's going to get his head beaten for years?
Yeah, I've been saying this. In 10 years, we're going to see the most talented quarterbacks that we've ever seen. But I think the play at the position is going to be a little bit worse. And that's because these guys are going to be so coddled and so pampered from their coaches. There's a lot of guys in the industry who do what I do, who are going to pamper you and try and make you feel good and make you in every situation is going to be perfect. And they don't deal with any adversity. And like, you've seen quarterbacks for a very long time. If you can't handle the adversity, when it hits you in the face and respond on Sundays, you're not going to last a very long time. And I think that we're seeing someone like Carson Wentz. This is the first time he's being hit with real adversity.
Yeah.
And we're seeing how he's handling it.
Yeah. No, Avery, this is Quincy Avery joining us. Quincy, this is a point that I've heard about Carson Wentz behind the scenes. He was always the biggest, strongest athlete. There was never pushback. And then in Philadelphia, he got pushback. The media is angry. The fans are angry. And he don't like it. And that's a reality. Now, I want to talk about Deshaun Watson, also your client. Now, by the way, 140 of your kids at your camp have earned Division I or Division II offers. So what you're doing is working, and they're making money and having great careers. Now, Deshaun Watson's different. He is now an established NFL player. I generally think you should adhere to your contract. But in his case, I have argued he has a short shelf life. He's been the life preserver for a sinking ship for years. I get that he wants out. Where does he stand emotionally today, what he wants, and what do you think the future for Deshaun Watson is?
I think that the future, it's interesting. I think he's made it really clear in terms of what he wants to do and that he wants to be in a situation that's allow him to be in a great culture, and it's going to allow him to thrive on the football field and be successful. And I think that in large part you see the frustrations with him. And it's you've never heard him complain once. You've never heard him say anything about the protection he's got or the people around him or trades going on. He just goes in and he acts like a CEO every single day. He goes in and does the right thing. But I think that when you're a quarterback, you need to be put in a position where people can count on you to be a leader of an organization. And I think that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. Finally, Big Ben's not your client. I think he's done. I thought he was done last year. I don't think it's arguable. I don't even think it's close. Your thoughts when you watch him play as a quarterback coach, what do you see with Ben?
I see someone who's thrived in the NFL, playing off schedule, doing things not because he necessarily knew exactly what the defense was doing and could be just so disciplined and dialed in and getting the ball to the right guy on time, but he tries to extend plays. And I think as he continues to get older, the arm strength diminishes. It's just going to continue to be harder and harder for him to be successful. So I really don't know how much he has left. And it doesn't sound like the Steelers really believe like he has a ton left in the tank.
By the way, one more question. I'm a fan of Sam Darnold, but I acknowledge that he's reckless and some of his injuries are his fault. Do you buy Darnold? Do you still think he's legitimately a quarterback in this league?
I think that Sam Darnold is one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks that we have in the NFL. So he has the talent. Is he going to do all the right stuff in terms of discipline, in terms of being smart with the ball? Because the number one factor in a quarterback success is like, how do they take care of the ball and how do they take care of themselves? And if he can do those two things, I think he can extend his career quite a bit.
Wow, you like him too. Quincy Avery, president at Quarterback Takeover, an elite quarterback training program. I loved your story, sleeping on the air mattress for 3 years at UCLA until you got a chance. You said, I don't want to coach, but I want to be in kids' lives. And 140 of your kids who you've trained with at Quarterback Takeover have earned scholarships and made millions of dollars. I just want to thank you, Quincy. I'd love to have you on again, and good luck to you.
Kyle, I really appreciate you having me on. Look forward to it anytime.
You bet. Thank you, Quincy Avery. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.